boy, and we're back. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Higher Density Living. Yep, back at it again.
Yes, you know what? I want to say something really quick.
Go ahead, tell me.
I want to talk about our two sponsors really fast before we get into the
yeah.
Speaking of and meditation, I watched a Mazda commercial the other day, and they had this new vehicle called a CX-50. So it's kind of like a Outback looking. It's like a it's more outdoorsy type. It's like it's like a Forester Outback type thing. You know, it has like the rubber around the thing, more higher clearance and all that, but it's a little bit smaller than the CX-5. You know, it's going towards the Subaru customer. But they had like people meditating, and then they had a lady sitting by a lake and meditating, and then they
the commercial.
Yeah, and then they had people going out into nature constantly. Like everything is about getting out into nature. And one thing I wanted to find before we get into this, because our sponsor, Quality Mazda, nm.com. So if you're looking for a Mazda and you're in Colorado, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, of course, where we're at. You're in Santa Fe, and I'm in Albuquerque. Is it super cold there?
18 degrees this morning, snowstorm.
Yeah, it's like 23 here or something. But you can get a Mazda. I have one. I encourage everyone to look at QualityMazdaNM.com.
I like when you pick me up in the Mazda. It's comfortable.
Yeah,
it's a clean car. It's well built. It's solid. It's a solid ride.
Yeah, it's Japanese, like Honda, Toyota, all the rest of them. So if you haven't never test driven a Mazda, I encourage you to do that.
Yeah.
And then number two, talking about meditation, not just with Mazda, our other sponsor, but then Tartle.co. We have the spiritual packets and meditation packets. And why don't you explain that, how somebody can help out higher density living by talking about meditation?
So cool. So if you go to Tartle.co and you sign up, you can actually share your data to help people understand your meditation habits, spiritual preferences, things of the sort, whether you take, psychotropic drugs, anything like that. But upon sharing that data, you can actually choose to donate those data earnings when you share it, when someone goes to buy that data from you. You can donate that towards 501c not-for-profits, non-governmental organizations, and other charities like Higher Density Living. Oh, and by the way, Higher Density Living is a 501c3 not-for-profit, which is listed on Tartle underneath the Big Seven, which you could donate those data earnings towards. So if you want to support something like the message that we are sharing, by all means, we'd be very thankful for it. But you can talk about things like meditation. You can talk about things like your spiritual journey, and people are interested in acquiring that data itself. So that's that plug for that sponsor.
Yeah, and it correlates exactly what we're going to talk about today. One of the things I want you to let people know first, before we get into what you want to talk about, which I think is going to be hugely helpful, especially for me. But I want to define meditation, because there's so many people get dogmatic about this, but there's, like whether I hike, or whether I do grounding, and I take my shoes off and I go outside, whether I use a candle, whether I'm aggravated with somebody at work and I take 5 minutes at my computer and calm down and relax and try not to think, all that shit. Can you kind of explain meditation so that people understand? And what I'm trying to go for, Alexander, is people understanding the flexibility of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That not one practice, as we teach at Higher Density Living, is your way is the right way. What spirit is leading you or creator is leading you is that direction that you should go.
So, like the Mazda commercial, they think that if you want to be spiritual, you got to go out into nature. They think if you want to understand yourself and reality at a deeper level, you got to take your fucking shoes off. You got to go see a guru or a yogi. You need to hum a certain tone. You need to cleanse yourself in a specific bath. Fundamentally, before anything occurs, this existence which you live is an existence of creation as a whole. Creation is here strictly to know itself better through the process of free will. It allows us to make choices. Everything you do, in a sense, could be a meditative practice. But the lens at which you view the actions and the thoughts you take in your life defines whether or not you take a meditative stance, one that is on a very straight and narrow path to do what creation originally set out to do, and that's evolve. Most people become distracted. They have many thoughts. So when we talk about meditation and the definition of meditation as a tool or a practice, it's not one that's defined by religion or how many crystals you have or what church you go to or how many Brahmin priests you've hung out with for the past couple of months over in India. It's a function of slowing the mind down, slowing down thoughts that actually stray away from the original creational idea. Thoughts that are not equalized, thoughts that lack balance, thoughts that are not internally reflected upon. Many people, when they meditate, they think I gotta, through doing this tone or having these external things occur, it's going to actually enlighten who I am at an internal level. All those things are catalysts, and you can choose these points of focus to help drive you back to the real inner truth. And the truth is that the real lasting value happens internally within the self. And the only way to understand it is to get these all very physical, elusive material ideas out of the mind and to focus on one thing and one thing only. And that's to have no thought at all. A single thought of not thinking. And when that state can become achieved, you're not having thoughts that are positive or negative. You're not having things that take you away from what is currently going on. That equalization, that thinking about not thinking, that meditation, which is that centralized focus on one specific thing, brings you back to center. It forcibly puts you back directly into the moment. And by doing so, you're not worried about motor functions and other things that occur. You allow the natural flow of cosmic information, creational energy to flow through. You don't block it. You do not disturb it. You do not use your own free will to remove yourself outside of creation's original intentions. All these natural laws that occur directly around you, things that allow you to happen all the time. You have to understand that by being focused, by meditating on thinking about not thinking, allows you to find deeper internal truths. It allows your body, your mechanics, the physical, the non-physical, your mind, your consciousness, and your subconsciousness to align in a highly efficient format. So meditation is really bringing something directly back to center in the present moment and having a single thought about not thinking at all.
Yeah, I love that. For me, what I found is instead of focusing on the thoughts, focus on the focus.
That's what I mean. That's actually thinking about not thinking. That's precisely what I'm talking about, Jason. But people get frustrated. They're like, I'm meditating, nothing's happening. Well, let me ask you something. When people go out and they become a professional golfer, does it just happen overnight? No. But the interesting function of meditation is that, you can look for all these outside tools. You can go to spiritual places. You can do all these things. But I could literally sit in the middle of New York City or the middle of a combat zone that's currently going on between the Ukraine and Russia and still carry out the same meditative practice, regardless of environment. Because those illusory things that are happening around me really don't have a direct effect about what it's internally realized, real lasting, eternal values that I find when I am at peace, directly centered in a timeless state. I'm in a state of creation. I'm doing exactly what creation does all the time. And by being like that, it helps me understand deeper truths. And through that deeper truth, I can then go to others and understand them better. I can understand creation better. I can serve better at that point. But people, when they begin their practices of meditation, they're looking for a secret. It's like, what's the trick? How do you do it? How do you become good at it? How do you drop into that state? How do you see visual images, right? How do you channel? How do you do all these things? People think that there has to be some focus or all this external things that need to happen. It just requires time and diligence. And so when people ask me, go ahead, Jason.
No, no. I was just saying, when you're coming to here's what I found with myself. Because one thing I caught myself as doing is like, you sort of talked to me about meditation and doing it more and having these conversations and then, different techniques and stuff. I got so focused on it being some new body hacking thing I could do so that I could think clear.
Yeah.
And not realizing that tapping into creation becomes its own superpower in its own organic way, based off of that's who I really am. Yeah. The ego's illusion of me being a chief marketing officer with Tartle, or you being the CEO of Tartle, or you getting married, or all of those things are illusions. That's not reality. Reality is perfect oneness with creation. Mm-hmm. So you want to, when you begin to realize that creational power that is eternal, that it's there waiting for you to have that connection with it, and then being able to, it's almost going from the rocket to 57K bit modem, where the rocket picture has to load really slowly, compared to like what you have there, a gig of internet, and you could load 1 million of those pictures at the same time. The power that is there is a power that constantly creates universes and worlds. And that power is what you are. And you, through your ego, have chose to think that you've separated from that. And all meditation does is bring you back to source. It brings you back to who you really are. And when you get that concept, it's a lot easier to understand meditation, because then it's not a tool, a trick, a way I've got to have, this done right. And I've got to have this pillow that I buy on Amazon that I can sit on, and this meditation area with the incense. And those things are all great but I mean, at the end of the day, it's me saying, I'm not judging. This is not real. I'm going to act in love right now, not act in judgment. Close my eyes and I think about this. And that's a form of meditation too.
You nailed it. Without a shadow of a doubt, Jason, you nailed it, because that's precisely what it is. All we got to do is get out of our own damn way. No one's blocking us. We're the one doing it to ourselves. No one's taking power from us. You're the one giving it up. Everything that allows this body that I'm currently in, the skin suit, skin bag, you can call me, to be held together at the same atomic level or quantum level, is the same thing that forms galaxies. It's the same things that allowed the Big Bang to happen, internally going in within me. And people think that all these other circumstances have to happen to try and find that power. They watch Marvel films, right? Why do you think there's an intoxication? Why do you think people enjoy this idea of superpowers? Because we know that there's another element to us. It's something untapped. But when we look to these films of fiction, things like that, it's exaggerated in a sense. But in truth, there's nothing more powerful than what currently resides within you, the thing that actually fundamentally allows you to exist. And 100%. It's not even a superpower. It's the same fucking power that everybody else has. And so if you want to tap into that, get out of your own way. And if you're not seeing any gains in meditation, I have one piece of advice for you. Meditate more. Do it 2 times more, 3 times more. Show me how much you can get out of your own way and start to actually understand the truth that resides within you. And you can only find that in silence, when you get rid of all the other things that are an illusion, all the other things that distract and distort what reality actually is. Does that make sense?
100%. Because I think this is really, really important, because we're getting into philosophy here, but we have to understand the philosophy and the logic of meditation, because that's why you're frustrated. You're frustrated because you think it's going to be a quick tool. It's fast food, spiritual fast food for you, that you can run through a drive-through, and in 5 minutes you've got your spiritual fix.
Yeah.
And what you're talking about is, it's a practice, like it's a golf swing. It's We always look at Tiger Woods back in the day, heyday, and from 4 years old moving forward, all of those things. Yes, it's a practice, but people aren't realizing the value of the practice. And the reason you're not realizing the value of the practice is because the ego is saying, self is saying, this is it. This is reality. It'll let you meditate.
Mm-hmm.
The ego will let you, and it'll mask it to the point of saying, oh, you want to do this little thing? Oh, okay, perfect. I'll make you, how do you feel? Oh, okay, you feel great. Awesome. But you didn't tap into anything. All you did was sit there for 5 minutes, trying not to think.
Yeah. But check this out. You come into it with such a severe expectation. Yes, things are achievable, but it requires time. And why is it not happening for you right now? I'll tell you why. You're not ready for it. In no way, shape, or form are these things that are rightfully available. You've blocked them for so long. You have so much mud in the way that clearly you cannot operate with these energies. It's like you don't allow any normal person to go in and work with, uranium cores for nuclear bombs. Specific people who understand how to handle that energy, who've taken time, diligence, experience, and practice, are the ones that handle it, the ones that machine it, the ones that transport it. So when you have this expectation that, well, if it's available for everyone and you can feel these things, why am I not feeling instantly? Well, again, there's untruths. There's a lack of understanding. There's so much ego still in the way. You are fundamentally not prepared for the next level of truth. So find the small ones first. Build up. Be like a squirrel. Get all those little nuts and then build up a big stockpile. And when you have a foundation to go through those longer winters, to sit there longer and really start to understand with those truths, you will find that those expectations you had in the beginning, which you were not ready for, will come to fruition. But it takes patience and diligence.
I literally said that to my girlfriend this morning when I woke up.
What are you talking about?
I said, hey, I'm just a squirrel trying to get a nut. I literally said that this morning, a few hours ago.
That's so funny.
I woke up and said that. That was the first word out of my mouth.
But honestly, if you think about it, in any way you want to call it, in the physical format, in sexual innuendos, in the material world, it's what we're trying to do. And how is it that you want to go through that perspective? And do you want to get out of your own way to realize that I can just stand in the woods and all the nuts are just around me because the trees naturally drop them. But I'm so blind looking for the perfect tree. I'm so blind looking for the largest acorn. You know what I mean? So I miss everything else. I actually don't see that everything I've always needed has always been right here.
Well, it's funny how the whole process of that is separation. Like, I need a pillow to go to this certain spot, or I need this. I got to go to the woods and do this, certain thing and find this certain tree to hug or sit next to or ground to. That whole process, you're separating yourself from creation. You're separating yourself from oneness. The one acorn that's sitting there that looks fucked up, that's just as much as you are.
Precisely. And it's probably pretty meaningful that you found the fucked up one.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
100%. So yeah, we're just fucked up acorns.
That's all we are. And so just become very accepting of the deepest truths that are inside of you. And if you're frustrated with meditation, meditate more. Thank you very much, everybody.